Welcome to a new way to level up in D&D. More classes, more customization, easier multi-classing. If you are looking for a fun twist to character progression, then you are looking for D&D skill trees. If you'd like to learn more, check the description. Otherwise, on to the video. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another DST video. Today, we're checking out the Rogue. The Rogue is a utility character in my version. Now, of course, in regular 2025 D&D, and of course, just 5th edition 2014 as well, the Rogue always kind of was on the fringes of being a utility character. It was a martial that had probably some of the lowest damage in general. In order to really pump your damage, you had to kind of do the thing where you got a reaction attack to use sneak attack twice every round. But my version of the Rogue really leans into utility and combination potential, being that character that gets to cheat and play outside the rules because they are the Rogue. They don't listen to anyone who holds them down. But anyway, we're going to get into this thing. It, of course, won the class votes, and if you want to vote on what character class we'll see next, you can vote in the description. At the end of the video, I'll show 3 classes up for vote, and pick the one you think is the best. You can also vote by joining my Discord, also linked in the description. But let's get into the Rogue. It is a D8 hit dice character with Dexterity as their major stat and Intelligence as their spell stat. Now, of course, there's not any spellcasting properties within the Rogue itself, but if you pick up multiclassing or subclassing into a spellcaster class, then Intelligence would be your spell stat. And you, of course, get the starting benefits of the Rogue, which is 8 plus your Constitution modifier in hit points, 1 hit dice, proficiency in simple weapons, hand crossbows, long swords, rapiers, short swords, light armor, thieves' tools, and then you get to choose 1 set of tools in addition to the thieves' tools proficiency. You can get Dexterity and Intelligence saving throws, and choose 3 from Acrobatics, Athletics, Deception, Insight, Intimidation, Investigation, Perception, Performance, Persuasion, Sleight of Hand, or Stealth. Lots of choices, and of course 3 because the Rogue is very skill-based, so you're going to have a lot of proficiencies that you get to deal. Just a lot of goodies when it comes to rolling skill checks on this character. And then with 1 node, you'll also get sneak attack. You get this whether you're starting or multiclassing or subclassing into Rogue. It, of course, is their main feature, and it says that once on a turn, you can deal an extra 1d6 damage to 1 creature you hit with an attack, if you have advantage on the attack roll. The attack must use a finesse or ranged weapon, and you don't need advantage on the attack roll if another enemy of the target is within 5 feet of it. That enemy isn't incapacitated, and you don't have disadvantage on the attack roll. And then whenever you get the +1 sneak die node, it adds another 1d6 to your total sneak attack damage. So in general, my version of the Rogue sneak attack damage will scale faster or slower depending on how you play it. Of course, if you're playing just a little bit of Rogue, if you just want to take a little bit of a dip into it from some other class to get some of the cool benefits that the Rogue has, you're probably not going to get a super high sneak die. But you can scale this way faster than the regular Rogue if you really focus on it. As you can see, there's +1 sneak die here, 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 here. They're all over the place. You can get a really high number of sneak dies, or just make your sneak attack way big if you focus on it. And let's dive into that just a little bit with our first feature we pick up, the +1 sneak die. Like I said, now your sneak die, instead of being 1d6, is 2d6. But after that, we can pick up Thieves' Cant. Now, if you've played a Rogue before, you already know what this is, but it says, during your Rogue training, you learned Thieves' Cant, a secret mix of dialects, jargon, and code that allows you to hide messages in seemingly normal conversation. only another creature that knows Thieves' Cant understands such a message. It takes 4 times longer to convey such a message than it does to speak the same idea plainly. And in addition, you understand a set of secret signs and symbols used to convey short, simple messages, such as whether an area is dangerous or the territory of a thieves' guild, whether a loot is nearby, or whether the people in an area are easy marks or will provide safe house for thieves on the run. Basically, the secret language that thieves get to talk to each other with. After that, we'll grab an ability score improvement. We get a decent number of feats and ability score improvements on this character because it is both very martial and also very much a utility character. So that's pretty nice. We'll then grab another sneak die. That brings us to a total of 3 so far. And then we can pick up Blind Sense. Blind Sense says that you have blind sight up to 10 feet as long as you can hear. So basically, if you get deafened by a spell like Blind and Deafen that would make it so you can't hear, your blind sight doesn't work. But if they just blind you, you can see just fine as long as you're within 10 feet of your target. After that, we can grab a proficiency bonus increase and then check out Poison Blades. This is not an ability that I think every rogue will want, but if you want to take this with like Alchemist, you can get a ton of value out of it. Poison Blades says that your D6 sneak dice are replaced by D8s, but now deal poison damage instead of the damage your weapon deals. Very interesting in my opinion, because if you want to take this with, like I said, the Alchemist, so that you can get poison resistance ignoration, so you can just ignore poison resistance, this is actually a great way to increase your rogue's damage. If you don't take that, though, it's kind of a bit risky because there's a lot of poison resistance and immunity in D&D. So take this with caution, I would say, but it is technically a damage increase to all your sneak dice, turning them into D8s instead of D6s. On the right half of this middle path, we've got Skilled. This says that you pick 2 skills and you gain proficiency in them. Nice and simple. There's actually another run of Skilled over here as well, so you can get this multiple times. Get a ton of proficiencies on this character in general. Next, we'll pick up another sneak die, bringing our total to 4. And after that, we can grab Expertise. This says that you get to choose 2 of your skill proficiencies, or 1 of your skill proficiencies and your proficiencies with feats tools, and your proficiency bonus is doubled for any ability check you make that uses either of the chosen proficiencies. After that, we'll grab a sneak die upgrade. That brings us to a total of 5. And after that, we can grab another proficiency bonus increase. Now, if you're worried about running out of places to put proficiencies, that's okay, because we, after this, get to pick up +1 max proficiency bonus, which, if you haven't seen it already, it brings your proficiency cap up 1. So instead of being +6 is your maximum, +7 would be your maximum. You still need to actually get to +7, but it can be +7 instead of +6. Over here, we'll grab another sneak die upgrade, bringing our total to 6 sneak attack dice already. And then after that, we can grab Slippery Mind. It basically just says that you gain proficiency in wisdom saving throws, which means you'll have 3 out of 6 on your rogue, which is pretty good. And of course, one of the best features to pick up on the rogue, and honestly, I can see a lot of people maining a different class and taking 4 levels of rogue just to grab this. It's Reliable Talent. It says that you have refined your chosen skills until they approach perfection. Whenever you make an ability check that lets you add your proficiency bonus, you can treat a roll of the d20 of 9 or lower as a 10. So basically, you're not failing any check anymore. The worst you can get is a 10, means that you'll probably be getting really good numbers because of how many proficiencies you have and just the overall skilled abilities that rogues have access to. Just very fun. Next, I'll be going left here a bit when we pick up a feat, and we can then grab another +1 sneak attack die, which brings us to a total of 7 sneak dice, 76 or 78 if you grabbed Poison Blades. And then Retrained Past, and this is the first feature that I really want to bring up. It kind of gets into the idea of that rogue being the character that gets to cheat, do things that no other class can do. Retrained Past says, take 2 extra nodes in your background. One of them can be red, an extra red node. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, the system that I use uses this background sheet that I have up on screen right now. Basically, when you start your D&D adventure out, you'll grab a character sheet and you'll go through this background first to get your ability scores to start out the game with. Well, when you pick up Retrained Past as a rogue, you get even more. You could grab an extra proficiency bonus increase, more just skill upgrades in general. I mean, getting another +6 to overarching skills is great. A +4 to any ability score is great. But realistically, the red node that you can get an extra red node is also super cool because there's some really interesting features on these red nodes. And being able to pick one up as any character that takes 2 levels into Rogue to grab this is really fun. After that, let's grab Hidden Beginnings. This is another fun feature that says when you roll initiative, you can roll a stealth check and use that for your initiative roll. So it basically says like, oh, if you have a nice dexterity and you want to make it even better for your initiative checks, you can now be rolling with proficiency on your initiative rolls as long as you have proficiency in stealth. And if you got expertise in stealth, well, now you're rolling with expertise for your initiative rolls, which is super fun. After that, we'll pick up another sneak die. This brings us up to 8. And then I'm going to go right here first to grab an ability score improvement, and then the ability Assassinate. This is really good if you are going far into Rogue, but if you're just taking a bit of a dip for a fun feature or something, I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. Assassinate says that when you land a sneak attack on a creature that is surprised, deal extra damage equal to the number of nodes you have taken in Rogue. I would say this ability is interesting, but it might not go off all that often because it is slightly difficult to get surprise a lot. Now, if your DM is good, they'll probably throw a lot of situations where you can get surprise in to make this feature actually useful, but I wouldn't rely on it too harshly because even though it is a nice damage bump, it's going to be, our current character would be getting like +20 to their attacks that have surprise, which is pretty nice. But it isn't necessarily that good either. And topping off that row, we have expertise, another round of it. Again, choose 2 of your features, you get expertise in them instead of proficiency, which is nice. We will pick up another feat over here, and then we can grab Rework the Field. This is a cool feature that I kind of took inspiration from the newer Rogue for. It says that when you land a sneak attack on a target, you can choose a number of your sneak attack dice to spend on forced movement instead of damage. Every sneak die you spend in this manner can push the target 5 feet in any direction of your choice. Now this is interesting. I think it can be flavored in some really interesting ways for how you get targets to move the way you want. So say you shot them with an arrow and you want them to back up. Perhaps you say that your arrow shoots their foot and then they fall off balance and fall backwards. Or you can think of anything really, but it's a very fun way to just get forced movement onto the board. After that, we'll grab another proficiency bonus increase, and then I think possibly my favorite feature of the entire Rogue class, Copycat. This says that you can replicate a feature one of your allies just used. As an action, you select a willing creature you can see who just used a class feature within the last 1 minute. You then activate the same class feature as if you had it. If the class feature has a DC or relies on a stat for its effects to be realized, use your statistics for that ability. You may use this once per long rest. This is so fun. I mean, just imagine you're up there, in the battle, your fighter just action surged and went ham on some creatures. You can say, oh, I would like to action surge. Also, Copycat, use action surge yourself. Or perhaps your cleric just used a really fun channel divinity ability. You can say, oh, I'd like to channel divinity as well. And then you just do the same thing. Maybe you want to go into a rage as a rogue, so you pick up Copycat so that you can copy your barbarian's rage every time he rages so that you don't have to actually dip into barbarian to get rage. There's so many fun combos you can have, and the best part about these combos is that you literally need to synergize with your party members. Talk to your teammates and say, hey, I'd really like this feature. Can one of you pick it up so that I can use it? Anyway, I just think there's a lot of fun to be had with Copycat. On to the final few nodes over on the right side, let's grab Effective Dodge. This is also a super fun ability and very roguish in the sense that it does kind of break the way that most things work in the game. Effective Dodge says that when you gain this feature, pick a stat. You gain advantage on saving throws using that stat. It doesn't give you proficiency with a saving throw, it gives you advantage on saving throws using that stat. Now, there's a lot of abilities that specifically call out, give you advantage on saving throws for certain things, but this one just says, hey, pick any one you want. After that, we'll grab another ability score improvement. Another sneak die, bringing our total to 9. And then we can grab Uncanny Dodge. Now, everybody probably knows what this does, but I'll read it out just in case. It says that when an attacker that you can see hits you with an attack, you can use your reaction to have the attack's damage against you. Now, notably, something that's really interesting about this is it does call out you have to be able to see the target. So if you're blind, it wouldn't work. But since you have blind sense, if you've picked it up at the very least, you'll have 10 feet of blind sight, which means you can see within 10 feet of you. So as long as you have that ability, you basically can always use Uncanny Dodge, although it does use your reaction. So that is an important factor to keep in mind. After that, well, let's grab Evasion. This is another super iconic rogue ability, also on the monk, but super useful on both classes. It says that you can nimbly dodge out of the way of certain area effects, such as a red dragon's fiery breath or an ice storm spell. Whenever you are subjected to an area of effect that allows you to make a dexterity saving throw to take only half damage, you instead take no damage if you succeed on the saving throw, and only half damage if you fail. Very nice to keep you in the game way longer. After that, we'll grab a proficiency bonus increase, another sneak die, bringing our total to 10 sneak dice, 10d6 or 10d8 if you picked up Poison Blades. That's a lot of extra damage every turn. And then we'll grab Elusive as well. This says that you are so elusive that attackers rarely gain the upper hand against you. No attack roll has advantage against you while you aren't incapacitated. You can't be attacked with advantage, which makes me think that the Rogue Barbarian build is actually super fun because you can use Reckless Attack every turn to get advantage on your attack rolls, use a finesse weapon with strength instead of dexterity to get your rage bonus attack, and still qualify for sneak attack damage, and then when the enemies go to attack you, if you've got elusive, they don't get the advantage on the attack even though you used reckless attack. I think that is such a fun combo and could totally see myself going for that next time I play a barbarian. Cunning Action is another super important ability that honestly all rogues probably are going to pick up pretty early. This says that you can use a bonus action to take the dash, disengage, or hide actions. Very nice. It's just, a lot more mobility. Everybody wants to be able to dash with a bonus action. It's just a ton more mobility whenever you're not using your bonus action for something else. And being able to also disengage and hide, a little bit more niche, but hiding is really important for getting those sneak attacks off. Because remember, if you're hidden and you attack somebody, you have advantage against them. We'll pick up another feat. And the final sneak attack die upgrade over here, bringing our total to 11, meaning that if you just gun it to all these sneak attack dice as quickly as possible, you could be doing 11d6 extra damage per turn. Pick up Poison Blades and it's 11d8. That is a ton. And keep in mind, you can still get a reactionary attack on somebody else's turn to trigger this damage again every turn. This means that the rogue may be a utility character, but they are not lacking in the damage department by any means. We'll then grab another ability score improvement, another proficiency bonus improvement, and we can grab Intellectual User. This says that you are not limited by species or class for using magical items or tuning to items. How often you'll use this will really depend on your DM and a lot of other factors, but hey, if you're in a campaign where there's a ton of items that are say stuff like, oh, you need to be a fighter to use this, oh, you need to be a barbarian to use this, you need to be a vanguard to use this, well, the rogue can use all of them without question because they are an intellectual user. We can then pick up our second round of skilled. Again, that's 2 more proficiency bonuses. And reuse. This is the last and another really fun feature for the rogue to pick up, especially multi-classing and subclassing rogues that have a lot of other class ability features that they want to be using often. It says that you can refresh one feature that you have access to that would normally only return on a long rest. You can instead use this feature to refresh 2 uses of a feature that would normally refresh on a short rest. This feature can be used once and only used again after finishing a long rest. I mean, this is so fun. No, technically, if you're playing just a pure blood vanilla rogue, you will only ever be able to use reuse on Copycat because it's the only ability that refreshes for a rogue. But if you're going like Rogue Fighter, I mean, Action Surge 3 times in one fight because you reuse on Action Surge, which is a short rest refreshing ability, which means you regain 2 uses of it, and then Action Surge, next turn, Action Surge, next turn, Action Surge, that would be cool. Or perhaps you're playing a druid and you want to be able to wild shape one more time. There's a lot of different features that refresh on a long rest, and plenty that refresh on short rests as well. So basically, choose whatever feature you want to use a bunch of extra and throw reuse on that sucker. Anyway, the rogue is a bit faster than some of the other classes. A lot of it is just ability score improvements, feats, sneak attack dice, and some other simple ones like skill and expertise. But we of course need to check out those feats to see what the best choices could be. Feats for the rogue. I would say skilled and skilled expert, but you already get so many skill proficiencies and expertise that you honestly don't even really need them. In general, I would say some of the better ones would be things like lucky, that allow you to reroll checks and saves that might not have gone the best for you. You could also pick up things like actor. I think this is really great, allowing you to get a +1 to your charisma and then advantage on deception and performance checks. And then it also allows you to mimic the speech of a person or the sound made by a creature. Some really interesting capabilities with that feat as well. Contort is one that I think is really flavorful on a rogue as well. It says that you get a +1 in dexterity, and you can use your body as a set of thieves' tools. And if you break your thieves' tools, you instead take 5 piercing damage, meaning that you can just keep going. The idea behind this is like you're using your fingernail to like dig into the lock or something. I think you could flavor this so well, especially if you're playing like a different race that has like claws or something. Going into some initiate feats, Warden Initiate is actually not a bad one to pick up here. It says that whenever a creature you can see uses a legendary action, you regain your reaction. Really nice if you want to plan on trying to get a bunch of sneak attacks on other people's reactions. Being able to use multiple reactions per round of combat was actually just great on a rogue in general, but figuring out ways to get extra reaction attacks is really what you want to be looking for here. Rogue Initiate is a little bit more niche, honestly, on a rogue. It's very good if you're just picking it up for the ability to dash as a bonus action, but in general, the rogue gets most of these features to some extent already. It starts at its first level with a +1 to dexterity, and then you get expertise in a skill you are proficient in, and you can now dash with your bonus action. Again, most of these things are things that the rogue already gets, but if you take it at its second level, when you have an advantage on a weapon attack, you deal an extra 1d10 poison damage on a hit. This is not the same as sneak attack, but it's very similar. In general, I would say Rogue Initiate is good, not the best for rogues to pick up. Valkyrie Initiate is also pretty fun. It says that you can cast Featherfall at will, and you can cast Fly on yourself once per long rest. Again, if you're picking up reuse, you can do that multiple times per long rest, because you can reuse on it. And as we move into the martial feats, Sharpshooter is obviously a great one. It gives attacking at long range or within 5 feet, not to impose you disadvantage, which is really good because if you have disadvantage, you can't sneak attack. And of course, your ranged weapon attacks ignore half and 3/4 cover. Then if you want to take this feat a second time to get its level 2 feature, you can take a -5 to hit on your ranged weapon attacks, and if you do, you gain a +10 to the damage on the attack. Just a nice way to bump a little bit of damage. It's not necessary on a rogue, but it's pretty good, especially if you want to be a damage dealing rogue. Crossbow Expert says you ignore the loading quality of crossbows in which you are proficient. Being within 5 feet of a hostile creature doesn't impose disadvantage on your ranged attack rolls, and when you use an attack action and attack with a one-handed weapon, you can use your bonus action to attack with a hand crossbow you are holding, which is pretty nice, allowing you to basically use your crossbow more often. This can allow you to get 2 attacks in a turn without getting extra attack, because remember, the rogue does not get extra attack. But if you use your bonus action for the attack with this light crossbow, then you would still get 2 attacks per turn. This does not allow you to sneak attack twice per turn, though you'll need to be getting your reaction attacks to do that. Athlete is another fun one, actually. It says that you get a +1 to strength or dexterity, and when you're prone, standing up only costs 5 feet of movement. You have a climbing speed equal to your walking speed, and then your running, high, or long jumps only need a 5-foot run rather than 10, which means that some out-of-combat things, pretty nice. A little bit of extra movement for standing up prone, also great. And getting a climbing speed is honestly not a bad thing. That just basically means you never need to make checks when you're climbing stuff. Sentinel is another really good one here. It says that when you hit a creature with an opportunity attack, the creature's speed becomes 0 for the rest of the turn. Creatures provoke opportunity attacks from you even if they take the disengage action before leaving your reach. And then if you take this again to get its level 2 features, when a creature within 5 feet of you makes an attack against a target other than you, you can use your reaction to make a melee weapon attack against the attacking creature. And you have an extra reaction every round that can be used on either of these features. So in general, getting extra reactions every turn is super good, and being able to just keep doing this, keep triggering sneak attack, will make you actually a decent damage dealer. And the final feat that I'm going to bring up is Skulker. This says that you can try to hide when you are lightly obscured from the creature in which you are hiding. When you are hidden from a creature and miss it with a ranged weapon attack, making the attack doesn't reveal your position. Dim light doesn't impose disadvantage on your wisdom perception checks that rely on sight. And then of course you can take this a second time to get its level 2 features, which say when you are part of a group stealth check, you can take a -5 on your roll and offer another member of your group a +5. You gain expertise in a dex-based skill that you are proficient in. So already, one, it's another proficiency that gets turned into expertise, which you're going to get a ton of these already, but a little bit more ain't bad. But the -5 to your roll to get one of your paladins that's wearing heavy armor +5 can super help out group stealth checks. And you're probably not going to fail to begin with, because your stealth is probably +30, let's be honest. Anyway, guys, that is it for the rogue. I think the rogue's really interesting. I love the multi-class potential that the rogue brings. So many interesting, unique features that are only seen on the rogue. Obviously, there's some things like expertise which aren't only seen on the rogue, but the rogue's playstyle is very different from every other, since in fact, one of the most interesting utility characters in my opinion. But that's going to be it for it. Let's jump into the votes for what we'll check out next time. Up for vote, we've got the Shaman, allowing you to watch and learn how the creatures around you fight and absorb their powers into your own spellcasting to create your own custom spell list of which you can cast from. Or we could check out the Swashbuckler. This is the class all about taunting your enemies, making them just super annoyed, and then running in for a punishing blow, catching them off guard with your jests. And the final choice, the Barbarian. Everybody knows what a Barbarian is. Just destroy your enemies with your unending rage. Rip them up to pieces, and if they try to do the same to you, just tank it with your extremely high health pool. Vote in the comments which one you'd like to see next, or you can check out my Discord where you can vote there as well. But in general, thank you guys for watching. If you did like the video, please give it a like and subscribe for more. But other than that, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Goodbye.